The ICE officials going door to door right now in Minneapolis are in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment. They are outside the scope of the administrative warrants that actually authorize the work they're doing, and they go far beyond the legislation that created ICE in the wake of 9/11. Hello, my name is Brian Kennedy. I'm the mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, president of Democratic Municipal Officials, and a member of the DNC. Follow me for local government and Democratic Party content. So I say that in every video, follow me for local government Democratic Party content. You may be wondering, how does railing against Trump and ICE count as local government content? Well, first of all, the areas that ICE is targeting are specifically Democratic-run cities in blue states. He is going to the economic engines of this country, some of the areas that produce the greatest amount of GDP for the United States. Minnesota is a thriving city, and its metro area is home to a number of Fortune 1000 companies. It is the economic generator for Minnesota and one of the major economic generators for the Midwest. So he is intentionally targeting cities run by Democrats. I am the national president of Democratic Municipal Officials, so those folks in local office are members of my organization. It is local government that he's attacking. So let's talk now about the warrants first. ICE was created in the wake of 9/11 by George W. Bush and Republicans in Congress. We had done a terrible job of monitoring who was coming into the country because we allowed al-Qaeda operatives to come in, actually train here on how to fly airplanes, and then they took over commercial flights and crashed them into buildings, killing thousands of Americans in what was the worst terrorist attack in our country. I would argue that the January 6th insurrection is the second worst terrorist attack in our country, but that was actually committed by domestic terrorists, but I digress. ICE wouldn't have caught those people. All right, so let's talk now about the scope of their warrants. The warrants that are issued by ICE are administrative warrants, which means they actually direct ICE employees to go out and find specifically named people who ICE believes are in this country without documentation. They are to be detained and brought before administrators at ICE to determine whether or not they should be deported. Believe it or not, it's not a criminal infraction to come into this country without documentation or to overstay your visa. It's actually a civil penalty. And prison time, or some of the things we're seeing this administration do, are not actually the punishment for those crimes. So, for example, if you are found to be in this country without documentation, ICE determines that the recourse is to deport you back to your home country. That's it. It's not imprisoning you. It's not sending you to a third country prison like CCOT in El Salvador. It is simply to deport you back to your own country. And there aren't fines or anything else. There's no jail time. This is not a criminal prosecution. It is civil. And so the scope of their warrant is very specifically to find the people that are named in the warrant and to bring them in for questioning and for a determination as to whether or not they should be deported. That's it. So going door to door is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which protects us against unreasonable searches and seizures. If you're going to go door to door, if you're going to demand entry into people's homes, then you actually have to have a court-ordered warrant that is signed by a judge, not some bureaucrat in a federal agency. A judge actually has to determine that there's probable cause to find somebody who has broken the law, and that person then should be arrested and detained, and that evidence related to that specific crime can be seized by the government to be used in a case against the person who is named in the judicial warrant. But administrative warrants don't give them any kind of power like that. And as a matter of fact, if you own a business, you don't have to let ICE into your company, into your business. Even if they have a warrant saying they're looking for one of your employees, you tell them, get them after work. You're not coming onto my private property. You don't have that right. Your warrant doesn't give you that right. And so this whole fiasco in Minnesota right now is the Trump administration exerting or attempting to exert federal government control and power over Democratic-run cities to terrorize populations that vote overwhelmingly Democratic. It is clearly a secret police, not unlike the KGB or the SS in Nazi Germany or the fascists in Italy. This is exactly what we've seen happen in authoritarian dictatorships around the country, and this administration is as bad as anything we've ever seen anywhere else in the history. So what do? How do we stand up to this? Well, very clearly, we as citizens, right? We can't send our police in to arrest ICE agents, right? Because that would be local police trying to arrest federal authorities. That would end up in, I'm certain, a gunfight and death, right? We also, could Governor Walz call up the Minnesota National Guard? Yeah, he probably could. And they could at least block streets. I don't think they'd fire on federal agents, right? That would certainly be outside of what we expect the National Guard to do, but they could block city streets to protect residents, because that's what the National Guard is supposed to do. Remember, they're called up when there's floods to help sandbag. They're called up when there's fires to help evacuate people. They're basically, the National Guard is there to help protect residents of a state. They're not there to engage in battle skirmishes with other states or with the federal government. But largely, the biggest thing we have right now, the biggest ace up our sleeve, is the fact that tens of thousands, and in some cities hundreds of thousands, are turning up to protest. When we turn up and we stand up in front of ICE and we say, F you, get out of our city, we are showing the federal government that we will not be intimidated, that we know our constitutional rights, and that we're going to stand firm as a people. Okay, that's my 2 cents worth. It's 25 degrees. I just finished a run. I had to take my gloves off to do this video. I'm freezing. I'm going home. Have a good day, everybody, and keep up the fight.